going to turn the mic off, guys, because it's actually quite difficult for the online audience to hear what we're saying. So, although it's better for the room, on the online part there's an echo. They can't hear us properly, so we're gonna turn it off. We'll have to shout a little bit more.
Use your voice when you ask the question.
Use your voice.
Use your voice.
Mark, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Networking is a major part of what we want to do today, and online. It's really important. There's Zoom rooms online that we're going to set up. We're going to be doing this online as well as in the room. The sessions are going to take the format. I'm kicking off the next session of 20 minutes of talking, roughly. 20 minutes of Q&A, roughly, and the rest of the hour, the other 20 minutes or so of networking, either outside the room or in the room, along the lines that Mark pointed out. That's the most important thing. The types of questions he was talking about, and not just networking with the same people during the day. The important part is to find other people to meet. Somebody, there's a quote out there, your network is your network. And I think that's a really apt quote if you think about it. Because if you're starting businesses, Jake, and you're starting things, having lots of people in your network is a really important thing.
Yeah, because they might tell you not to do it.
Yeah, which
They might tell you it's a bad idea.
Yeah, the business of failure.
But they also might be able to say, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? Or years ago when I worked as a production manager in the film business, there was the answer that you always had for anybody asking a question was, I know someone who can do that. And that's only because of your network.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're going to move on now to the first talk. But before we do, first talk's from me. Jake, we're going to play a little video you found.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind, we talked about the main themes of the day being business of failure, local to global, and networking. There's another theme. What day is it today?
Something to do with Star Trek, isn't it?
No, I think it's the other one.
Yeah, don't talk about it. I'm known as the man who ruined Star Wars. If you want to know why, ask me. But I'm warning you. I'll ruin your childhood.
I'll ask you later.
But Jake, you found this little video. It's 1 minute long, and then I'd love you to talk to me about it. So, Jake, well, talk to me about it.
So, clearly, Darth Vader has got an entrepreneurial mindset, right? He wants to build business. His motivation is his life is not going where he wants it to go, right? So, but let's look at what he's doing. He's a parking warden. He gives people tickets and stuff like that. So what he says, I'm going to go for it. He gets support from his good lady, which you would hope you would get anyway, but she's not an impartial person in her network who should say that's a really bad idea. We assume he prepares a business plan, which he takes to his local bank manager, and he says, what does he say? I want to build a battle star. And what does the bank manager say? We don't get it. So there's three bits in that, which is one, it's no good pitching an amazing idea to the wrong person. Okay? It's really important. This is networking again. The next one is take a step back. Do you know anything about building battle stars? Anybody here? I do, actually. Chris knows how to build a battle staff. More importantly, we know some people who can finance it. Also. But the thing is, he doesn't know how to build a battle staff. He doesn't know, he hasn't done any market validation or anything. So what does he eventually say to the bank manager? I want to build a sports bar. Why? Because the local bank manager, the loan manager will know what a sports bar is, won't he? We know what he does. He's got experience of it. He can actually make a valid estimation on it. So don't be Darth Vader.
Don't be Darth Vader. And to that point as well, about the bank manager giving out money. One of the things that we do at 12 Ronnies is we have a platform, Founders and Mentors, which is a platform of communities where there are people that are creatives starting creative businesses. It might be books, films, music. They congregate in that sort of community. We've got tech startups. We've got startups, female founders. These are all groups of people that want to affiliate with each other, but also have different issues when they're starting businesses. So when you're talking about getting money, the bank manager, female founders, particularly in places like London, have a different challenge than, let's say, people like me. And that's because most of the people dishing out the money in London look like me. So I'm not really going to get a female hair product, am I? But maybe a sports bar, oh yeah. So it's all about understanding and joining with people and that share your common issues. Now we have a few exhibition stands out there. One is actually for aspiring female founders, and another is a tech hub for people looking at tech businesses. Go along afterwards and visit those stands if you affiliate to that sort of community. So there's various things going on there, but I better not run too much into that. So I'm supposed to be talking to you about what makes a good business idea. We can.
I'm done. I'll be out there if you want to speak to me. Arms dealing.
Yeah.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
And if you really want me to ruin
No, don't ask.
I'll do that.
Right. The theme of today, or the main theme of today, is the business of failure. Most startups, as I mentioned, fail. And this is over 80%, and higher than that in a lot of cases. Doesn't matter where you are in the world and whatever sector you're in, this is the major problem that we face. We're in an environment where failure is common. And what we want to do today is to make you feel comfortable in this environment, but also to help you understand the things you can do to minimize this failure. Because starting a business is the highest risk and uncertainty environment. That's where in your business you have the most risk. So why do startups fail? Well, it starts with your idea, doesn't it? How do you know if you've got a good business idea? How do you know? It's really difficult. So I'm going to enlist some help here. I'm going to enlist my own Jedi Knight, my AI Jedi Knight, ChatGPT. I don't know whether you know ChatGPT. He's friends with quite a lot of it. Would it be possible to? Yeah, there we go. I ask you some questions for you to type them in. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to help us with what's a good business idea. So, ChatGPT, could you give me, I don't know, let's have a look at what I wrote down. Give me 5 good business ideas. Good business ideas. Let's ask them make them good business ideas. Let's say, just say make them good business ideas. It'll remember that it was 5. 5 good ones. Okay, so let's see what ChatGPT's come up with. Eco-friendly products or services. Not sure about that. Online coaching or consultancy. Health and wellness services, e-commerce store, pet services. I don't know whether they're good business ideas. It's saying, it's giving you the ideas, but it's not telling me whether it's a good business idea or not. How do I know if they're good business ideas? So if I ask chat, could you ask him why they're good business ideas? Why they're good business ideas? Let's see if he can help. Why are these good business ideas? So if we just scroll up a little bit, yeah. So these are good business ideas because they meet growing demand, okay? Because they offer potential for scalability, because they started with relatively low overhead, because they offer potential for innovation. Just scroll up to the last one. Oh, they've only given us 4, it's being awkward today. So they've given us a lot of reasons, but really, that doesn't tell me whether my idea is good. That does. So if it meets all these, will I have a good idea? Not so sure. Not so sure it's actually helping me. Okay, could you ask ChatGPT? This is the one I wanted to ask him. How do you know if I have a good business idea? If I have a good business idea. We'll sort it out now, I'm sure. So scroll up. So ultimately, the success of a business idea depends on many factors, including market conditions, competitions, marketing strategy, and the ability to execute the idea effectively. It's important to do thorough research, develop a solid business plan, and seek feedback from experts. I can scroll to determine the viability of your business idea. That's really complicated. I mean, really? Does that? I mean, these are all factors. This doesn't tell me whether I think this idea or not. But I can tell you, I've been doing this for 35 years now, and I really wish what I'm going to talk to you about in the next couple of minutes, I'd have known then. It would have saved me a lot of money and a lot of time, years of time. What makes a good business idea? So, anybody in the audience ever had a headache? Hands up. Everyone. Yeah. Well, no, a couple of people didn't put their hands up. I actually don't suffer from headaches. So there's a headache. So what do people do? And anybody like to volunteer? If you've got a headache, what would you do?
To search for a painkiller.
Search for a painkiller. Anything else?
Water, rest.
Water, rest. Yeah. So if you've got a headache, you've got a few options here.
Maybe prevent the headache. Search for something to prevent what to happen in the future.
Probably not drink the night before. So, anybody in the room get migraines? If you have a migraine, what do you do?
I sleep in the dark room.
Sleep in the dark. It's a problem, yeah?
And it just comes at you without showing you any signs. It just happens.
And there's just not a lot.
Right now.
There's just not a lot you can do. If I could give you a little tablet that would solve your migraine, would that make you happy?
I won't research it. Why would it be?
No, but let's say it works. It's on the market. Would you pay for it? Yeah, I know you. Here's the difference. There are problems out there, like having a headache, but then there's migraine level problems. Now, these are the ones you really want to solve. These are ones that are important to solve. If you put that in terms of business ideas, you're really looking for a business idea that solves a migraine level problem, not just another headache. Because people get around it. They sleep, they drink water, they find other solutions than just getting a tablet and paying some money for it. So the important thing, if you're looking for a good business idea, is to see that it solves not just a problem, Not just any old problem. People can get around that. People do things in other ways. But a migraine level problem. This is the important part. Now, there's two approaches here. I want to come up with a good business idea. Start with, well, I need to find a migraine level problem. Speak to people. So find out from people what, and you can maybe load the question slightly to narrow it down, but look for migraine level problems that are out there if you want to find a good business idea. But most people don't start with that. Going, I want to start a business, I need an idea. If you do, all your work needs to be around looking at migraine level problems. But most people have got an idea. What they do, and this is the problem, they go into creator mode. So this is human nature here. What we tend to do is we naturally want to create things. So if you have an idea, you go, well, what's the idea? What am I going to call it? Is there a web domain? You're creating a brand here. You're in creation mode. What am I going to build? You're creating. You're not really thinking about the problem. You're not really looking at whether it's a migraine level problem. And this is why so many businesses and ideas don't work. Because they don't really solve something that is a major problem that, for instance, this gentleman would want to be solved. They don't solve a migraine level problem. So you either start with, is there a migraine level problem out there? Or I've got an idea, I now need to find out from people, is this idea solving a migraine level problem? Now, many startups go into creation mode, they start a business and wonder why they can't get customers. And then they try and what's called pivot. Basically, they're looking to pivot their idea to groups of people that have a migraine level problem that this solves. And most of the time it doesn't work, and this is why the businesses fail. It's those businesses that solve a migraine level problem that have the biggest chance of success. But you're not just, I mean, if you solve or you know how to solve a migraine level problem, that doesn't mean you're going to have a successful business. We're going to talk about all the other factors as well. But very importantly at the beginning, what makes a business idea is all to do with the problem itself and solving a problem, but not just any problem, a really important problem. So I want you to put in your head migraine level problem. We just see that I'm covering everything that's talked about on this. Yep. Okay. So what I'm just gonna summarize before it go to questions here is we're here, most of us here to look at this business of failure, and there are so many factors involved. But the thing I want you to take away from this session is the problem itself that you're solving. And if it's not a migraine level problem, I'm not certain you have a good business idea. So that's my presentation on the business idea. Any questions?
Right. I needed to ask this question earlier from the previous speaker. It's about networking.
Yes.
Nowadays, there are lots of scams on the online. So you may do some research and you end up having some scammers. So how do you know that you're in the right place at a particular time for your research?
Okay, that's for a different session. This is about the actual problem itself, not we're going to do a few sessions on the research side of things that are coming up. By the way, for the Zoom audience, for the online audience, maybe whoever's hosting on the online side, we can collect some questions on what I've been talking about in terms of the problem and how do you know if you've got a good business idea. One second, let me. Would it possible to?
Yeah, yes. Very loud. There are two approaches.
Okay, so the two approaches are, first one, you don't have a business idea. So how do you come up with a good business idea? Well, the only way to really look at coming up with a good business idea is to find a migraine level problem out there and then develop a solution for it. Sometimes you can't develop the solution. You don't have the skills, you can't put the team together, you can't raise the finance. or whatever the reason. But the starting point is, if you're looking for a good business idea, it must have a migraine level problem that it's solving. The other approach, so that's approach one. The other approach, which is the more common one, is I've got a great idea for a business. Is it a good idea? Well, the only real way you'll know if the idea is good is if you talk to people and if you find out, is this a migraine level problem? So they're the two approaches. I don't have an idea or I do have an idea, but it's all around that level of problem. Sorry, this gentleman in the hat.
How do you know the problem is?
That's a really good question. Well, while it's not an exact science, you'll know, and that's a very good question. You'll know pretty much from speaking to people. If you think about my two questions I asked at the beginning, who has a headache? And how do you solve it? There wasn't a lot of people who get headaches. When I asked this gentleman about a migraine, yeah, I'd take that. I just have to go and you'd talk all day about your migraines if you had to and getting rid of those. You know, when you hit a problem that is migraine level, people will talk to you. They will tell you about it. And then you learn and you say, somebody else, is this a problem? They won't shut up. That's the way you know. Whereas if you talk to people and if you ask them a closed question like, is this a problem, they're not necessarily, I mean, the next talk Chris will probably look at not everybody being truthful, not deliberately deceitful, but you've got to be careful how you ask the questions. But you just know in a feeling. If people really want you to solve that, you can tell from their passion. For the online audience, are there any questions?
You know, in chat, you can see them.
Right. Scroll down.
No, there's nothing.
No, nothing on the online audience. Okay. Any other questions in the room?
I do have one. Let's get up.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Sometimes there are migrants, they are inevitable. Let's call it that way.
Yeah.
As an example, a business owner runs a website is not aware that its code not validates to web standards, means all money spent on search engine optimization to make the money, right? So your code first, but how will you communicate that? Well, this first is not technical.
Yeah. And this is really hard if they're not aware that they have this problem.
Yeah.
And this is the hard part of you being able to come up with a business idea, because you might be aware this should be a migraine level problem, but unless you can make people aware, they're not going to spend money with you. They're not going to identify that they have a migraine level problem. Yeah, it's not a major issue for me. You're spending your time going, no, it is. This is why. That's actually probably not the best business idea, even though you're solving what should be a migraine.
But that moment when you show them, take your web page, put it into the validator and see all the bonds narrow.
But they might go, it depends on their reaction to it. If this is something they really want solved, you know, so you came to me and I looked at that, yeah, but it works and I don't really want to spend any money on it, and I'd rather spend it on
my car works without MOT.
Yeah, so it's only if they go, oh no, I really need this solved. So it's
What is the return on the investment?
yes, well, are they willing to pay for it?
Yeah. We need to pay, but what is the return on the investment? That's valid.
And sometimes you forget, yeah, it's a problem, but I live with it. I'm not going to pay for it.
Having an idea, where is the best place to get funding?
That's a different topic for later about funding. But I will say it's much easier to get funding. You can show where there's funding, that the problem that you're solving a problem that a group of people really want to solve. So if you have data, this comes on to some related talk. If you can show, let's say, your bank manager or to investors that you're solving a a migraine level problem and that people really want to solve, it's going to be a lot easier to get money and say, no, I've got this really great idea. Everybody's going to want it. I mean, investors hear this all the time. It's about showing that it solves problems and not just any old problem. But later on, we'll talk about investments.
How about if you have got something between the not really idea and the migraine idea, something in the middle, and you know there is something out there. Normally, if you reach the right people, let's say in a technology environment, if you reach the right people, they might bring the solution to help many people around. But in the same time, you need some development and research to implement that thing. So you can't do it by yourself. You need the right people with the right knowledge and also the time to spend to resolve the migraine problem, let's say, something.
And that's all the later on part of the business. Once you've found the problem, it's can you make it work? Can you get the right team? Can you raise the money if you need to raise money? Can you market? It's all about now the people skills and finding the skills to do this. But coming back to the earlier part is most businesses actually aren't solving migraine level problems. They're solving the in-between, the sort of the average and a really important problem. So most businesses just tick along. It's those that are solving migraine level problems that are most likely, if they get it right for their solution, to do well. So it does come back to that, but then you have to be able to implement the solution, not just identify a problem. I mean, I could, in the entertainment industry, if I could send us all back in time, I don't know.
You need to shout.
You need to shout for the back. So, sorry, there's a question at the back.
I have a question. Are we going to be discussing all the ways how we can attract?
Yes, we're going to be going through this session right now is just about how do you know if you've got a good business idea. ChatGPT couldn't help us, so we've looked at other ways. But there's just a basis. You start with the problem, but then there's a lot more to do. And the rest of today is about the other things that we can look at doing. So it's about speaking to people. It's about validating your ideas. It's about putting the right people together. It's about attracting the right money. It's the right agreements. It's all the other things that we need to do that we're going to be going through today. This is just about the idea. What makes a good business idea? Got another couple of minutes for any other questions about your business idea.
So the good idea must be innovative.
That's what. If you're just doing something the same as somebody else out there, they've already solved that problem. Then you just need to do it better. But they've already identified. So they've identified there's a migraine level problem. They found an innovative solution. You might find an innovative way or a different way of doing that, or you might find something similar because it's a big enough market. You can open up another McDonald's franchise. The problem's already been identified. It's just now you can open it up in a different area. So it doesn't necessarily have to be very innovative, but there's no point putting one McDonald's next to another. Innovation helps.
So you means like need to find out another problem, another bigger problem.
Yeah, I mean that's if you can. So you can take if you're looking for business ideas, look for a big problem that people have.
Big problem that business will be big.
Yes.
Yeah,
Got it.
so I was just thinking, for example, make our good business idea. It's original. How to present it to people, to the right people. How to make sure that, for example, that idea will not be stolen by someone and developed for me, because that happens in business. How to be interesting to the people without giving much information about it, because this is enough. I have to admit, it's not a simple question, it's not a simple answer.
Okay.
General advice on that. Yeah.
This session isn't about that, but I'll answer that in a short answer. Most times, we're scared of giving our idea away because we think this is the big one. Most, if not all, just, so we waste our time protecting it. If you have a new scientific discovery or a technology invention, patent it. Well, I say patent it. If you really believe there's going to be customers, before you can go and speak to people, protect the intellectual property. But other than that, you really want to find out if people want this, if it's solving a migraine level problem. So the less experienced founders give it to themselves. Oh no, I need you to sign an NDA before I can speak to you. Really? I'm not going to sign an NDA. I hear thousands of ideas all the time. You come back to me and say, oh, you heard it from me. So my general advice is, unless you're looking at the patenting route early on, because it's an invention, most of the time don't worry about it. You don't know whether it's a good idea. It's hard enough to get people to listen to your ideas. It's hard enough to sell. It's really hard to sell if you won't tell them what the idea is unless they sign a document or it's got to be ready. And this is sometimes the fear of starting a business. This is the fear of failure that people often have. I think it's a good idea, but somebody might steal it. My general advice, unless it's in the patent arena, just go talk to people. They'll modify it. They'll tell you it doesn't really solve much of a problem, but have you thought about this? So my general advice is to speak to people.
I'd just like to add, what you can, a good way of starting a conversation with people is, I'm thinking of trying to solve this problem. What do you think? And then what you can do is, you don't have to think directly about the idea until you know that they're on the same wavelength. The second thing I would say, going back to my time in the movie business, I would always be hit by people saying, I've got a great idea for a movie. And I go, oh yeah, what is it? Well, I'm not going to tell you because you'll nick it. So I know that out there are thousands of movies that are absolutely, I'm not going to swear, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. The best cinema that's ever been made that are never going to get made for precisely that conversation. Most people, in my experience, if you think of it from a corporate end, they won't nick ideas because the risk of then there being some legal comeback, making things difficult, because nobody wants things difficult. So try asking that question first. What do you think about this? I'm trying to think about this problem. Then you can sort of check people out.
There are ways of framing it.
Anyway, so if you share your idea of how to solve it, you can file application to the, so you win-win.
And there's a big enough market. I mean, you would hope if it's going to be a long-term business idea, it's not for 4 people. You hope there's a big enough market. And competition is important in all of this anyway. It's really good to say, my idea is like this. This is how it's different. It's nice to have comparisons. If it's so innovative, people don't get it. Whereas if you say it's like Kickstarter, but it does this, people get it. So competition's a good thing because most markets are quite big. I'm going to have to finish right now because we need to do some networking. For everybody who was here that was listening to Mark earlier, we've got about 20 minutes before the next talk. So there's teas, there's coffees, there's refreshments, etc. But start talking to each other, asking people questions. Oh, sorry. Coming back at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock.